The weight of destiny presses heavier now, doesn't it? That gut feeling you've been ignoring isn't just paranoia, it's a beacon, screaming for your attention. Someone close, someone trusted, has been weaving a web of deception so intricate it rivals the most cunning of predators. But here's the twist. Their attempt to replicate you, to step into your shoes, and steal the essence of who you are, has faltered. They've underestimated the depth of your uniqueness, the uncopyable fire that makes you who you are. And now, the illusion is beginning to crack. The illusion of their triumph has shattered, and the pieces now reveal a truth far darker than you ever anticipated. What lies ahead isn't just an unmasking of their deceit, it's a revelation of the unshakable force within you, a power so genuine and untouchable that no imitation could ever come close. This betrayal is more than a singular event. It's a lesson, a glimpse into the repeating patterns you'll face on your path as the chosen one. Each encounter will test your resolve, but each will also reaffirm one undeniable truth. Your authenticity is your greatest weapon, and no amount of deception can overshadow the brilliance of who you truly are. There's a certain desperation in those who build their identity on fragile foundations, isn't there? This individual, so consumed with being the center of every room, has turned your brilliance into their shadow, a threat they can't ignore. Your light, effortless and undeniable, exposes the cracks in their carefully curated facade. But there's a pattern you're only just beginning to notice. It's not just their need to dominate, it's how they vanish when the pressure becomes too great, only to resurface elsewhere, reinvented, armed with fragments of your wisdom masquerading as their own. It's why you've felt drained, as if your essence was being siphoned away. But now, with clarity sharpening your vision, you see it for what it is, not just envy, but a futile attempt to claim what can only ever belong to you, your authenticity, your truth. And once you see it clearly, there's no going back. It's a strange kind of betrayal, isn't it? To see your brilliance reflected back at you, but through the voices of others who never gave you credit. Yet, even in the face of this, you've never let it dim your light. You've always understood something they never could. True power isn't about hoarding the spotlight, but about illuminating the path for everyone around you. Your gift has always been your ability to lift others up, to nurture the potential they didn't even know they had, even if it meant your contributions went unnoticed. But here's the truth they can't replicate. Your light is infinite, and no matter how much they try to siphon off, it only grows stronger. You're no longer just acknowledging the pattern, you're reclaiming your role as the source, the one who inspires without losing yourself in the process. Your generosity, rooted in abundance and authenticity, has always been your superpower, a rare gift that flows effortlessly from your heart. But not everyone sees the world through the same lens of endless possibility. As this truth sinks in, the bittersweet blend of validation and sadness washes over you. Validation, because the puzzle pieces finally fit. Your intuition had been whispering all along. Sadness, because someone you trusted, someone you may have even cherished, chose competition over connection, imitation over collaboration. The depth of their facade begins to unravel before your eyes, revealing a calculated attempt to mimic your essence. But what they fail to grasp is that authenticity cannot be duplicated, and the very act of trying only highlights the emptiness within them. This moment of clarity, though painful, strengthens your resolve to protect your energy and continue shining, knowing that your light is yours alone. The realization hits you like a lightning bolt. This wasn't accidental, nor was it harmless admiration. They've been carefully observing, dissecting every nuance of who you are, as if your essence were a script they could rehearse and perform. But this isn't a tribute, it's a calculated attempt to become you without ever understanding the soul behind your words, your thoughts, your beliefs. It's the ultimate betrayal, not just of your trust, but of your authenticity. You'll begin to notice it everywhere, the phrases slipping from their mouth that sound eerily familiar, the way they frame your ideas as their own, the subtle mimicry of your values, as if wearing a costume they hope no one will see through. But the truth is, no matter how much they try to replicate, they'll never touch the core of what makes you unique. Because your essence isn't something that can be copied, it's something that can only come from within. It's as though they've woven themselves into the fabric of your identity, thread by thread, until it becomes difficult to tell where you end and they begin, at least on the surface. But the truth is, their imitation lacks the depth and authenticity that comes so naturally to you. They mimic your empathy without feeling the weight of others' emotions, adopt your conflict resolution strategies without understanding the patience and wisdom behind them, and parrot your values without living them. You realize now that their actions are less about admiration and more about survival in a world where they've yet to find their own footing. They think by mirroring you, they can claim your strength as their own. But what they don't understand is that your authenticity isn't a collection of behaviors or beliefs to be copied. It's the result of your lived experiences, your struggles, and your growth. It's something they can never truly replicate. It's a jarring realization, like watching the most sacred parts of yourself be repackaged and paraded around as someone else's creation. The wisdom you shared in moments of trust, born from your own struggles, reflections, and growth, has been stripped of its context and authenticity. They've taken your truths, the ones you bared in vulnerability, and used them as currency to buy admiration from others. It's not just the theft of your words, but the misuse of the energy and meaning behind them that cuts so deeply. Yet, as unsettling as this is, you begin to see the cracks in their facade. Wisdom without true understanding is hollow, and eventually, their borrowed insights will falter under the weight of their inauthenticity. What they've stolen can only ever be a shadow of the brilliance that comes from your lived experience, and no matter how far they go, your light will always outshine their imitation. The full extent of their calculated behavior becomes undeniable as you see your private moments echoed in their public persona. The intimate exchange of ideas, once shared in trust, has been transformed into their curated image of wisdom and originality. Your heartfelt advice now serves as their platform for admiration, your recommended readings claimed as their own revelations. Even the tools you offered to help them navigate their struggles have been rebranded as their personal breakthroughs, paraded as if they arose from their own depths. It's a strange mixture of betrayal and pity. You see how desperately they cling to your light to fill the void within themselves. But no matter how much they borrow, they can never replicate the authenticity that comes from living and embodying those lessons. What they present to the world is merely a reflection, while you remain the source. What's truly unsettling is the way they've turned your identity into a patchwork performance, tailoring pieces of your personality to suit the preferences of different audiences. With one group, they wear your confidence like a mask, delivering your humor and cleverness as if it were their own. With another, they drape themselves in your empathy, offering your compassion and insights as though they'd cultivated them within. It's as if they're trying on fragments of your essence, testing which parts resonate most, while never committing to the wholeness of who you are. But their act is shallow, a fractured imitation that lacks the authenticity and depth that only comes from being genuine. You realize that while they may borrow pieces of you to impress others, they'll never grasp the full richness of what it means to truly live as yourself. With romantic interests, they've become a careful architect of borrowed charisma, deploying your charm and emotional depth as if they were the original source. They've dissected your personality, reducing it to a toolkit of traits they can wield strategically, each one tailored to fit the needs of the moment. But their vanishing acts are the clearest giveaway, disappearing just as the threads of their deception risk unraveling, just as their new connections might cross paths with you and see the uncanny resemblance. What stands out most, however, is the stark difference in how you and they view influence and connection. Where you lead with authenticity, inspiring others by simply being true to yourself, they manipulate and mimic, striving for admiration without putting in the work to earn it. It's a hollow pursuit, one that ultimately reveals more about their insecurities than their supposed brilliance. Your strength lies in the unshakable foundation of your authenticity. It's not something you wear like a mask or wield like a tool, it's simply who you are. People gravitate toward you because you embrace your flaws, learn from your hardships, and show others that imperfection is part of the journey. You don't see others as competition, but as equals, each with their own unique light to share. Your presence creates a ripple effect of empowerment, inspiring those around you to uncover their own potential. To you, leadership isn't about standing above others, it's about walking beside them, lifting them up, and celebrating their victories as much as your own. The hypocrisy becomes glaring when you see how they project their own behaviors onto you, as if accusing you could somehow mask their intentions. They call you controlling while subtly pulling strings behind the scenes to shape your decisions. They brand you as manipulative while weaving intricate narratives to turn others against you. They accuse you of being rigid, yet they shut down any viewpoint that doesn't align with their carefully constructed sense of authority. The tension escalates because your refusal to bow to their ego disrupts the fragile foundation of their identity. Your quiet confidence and unwavering sense of self are a direct threat to the superiority they've built their entire persona around. By standing firm, you expose the cracks in their facade, forcing them to confront a reality they've worked so hard to avoid. Their strength is borrowed, but yours is real. What makes this dynamic especially damaging is the way they've rewritten the narrative of your relationship, casting you as the antagonist in a story that only serves their ego. In their retelling, you're the one who's impossible to please, the one who demands too much, the one who stirs up chaos wherever you go. They paint themselves as the selfless savior, the patient and understanding figure who gave so much of themselves only to be forced to step away for the sake of their own peace. But the most insidious element isn't just their false narrative, it's how they've manipulated your trust in yourself. Every time their behavior made you uneasy, they twisted the truth just enough to make you second-guess your instincts. Slowly, they've conditioned you to question your emotions, your perceptions, and even your reality, leaving you trapped in a cycle where you begin to wonder if they might be right. Every time you've approached them with honesty and a desire to resolve issues, they've skillfully turned the spotlight onto your supposed overreactions or impossible standards. The most painful truth to uncover is that beneath all the facades, they don't seem to have a true sense of self. While you've been on a raw and courageous journey of self-awareness, embracing growth, flaws, and all, they've been busy refining their ability to mirror the desires and expectations of others. Their identity shifts like a chameleon's colors, adapting to fit whatever role they believe will earn them approval. They aren't living, they're performing, a constant act designed to fill the void where authenticity should reside. You'll start to see how they mold themselves to fit every situation, like an actor slipping into different costumes for each role. Around one group, they're the intellectual visionary, speaking in lofty terms about ambition and success. With another, they're the empathetic listener, always ready with comforting words and a shoulder to lean on. At work, they're the hard-working overachiever, tirelessly climbing the ladder, while with a romantic partner, they transform into the idealized version of what they think love should look like. But beneath these shifting personas lies an unsettling truth. None of it is real. Each version is a calculated performance, tailored to win approval or manipulate perceptions. The tragedy is that in trying so hard to be everything to everyone, they've lost the ability, or perhaps the courage, to simply be themselves. They've mastered the art of becoming a reflection of others' expectations, so much so that their true self has been buried beneath layers of pretense. Your authenticity unsettles them because it highlights what they've given up in their relentless chase for approval and admiration. The divide becomes even more apparent in social settings where they work tirelessly to dominate the narrative, carefully steering discussions to spotlight their curated knowledge or fabricated accomplishments. In contrast, your presence fosters collaboration and genuine connection. You create space for others to share their stories, encouraging a sense of camaraderie and mutual respect. While they strive to outshine everyone in the room, you illuminate the room by helping others shine, and it's this quiet confidence that leaves them feeling both envious and exposed. The fragility of their identity becomes even clearer when you realize they've built themselves from fragments of others, piecing together a personality like a collage of borrowed traits. They're not just imitating you, they're imitating everyone, scavenging qualities they find appealing and trying to stitch them into something that resembles a whole. But instead of forming a genuine sense of self, they've created a hollow mosaic, an identity that shifts and crumbles under scrutiny. What's even more unsettling is their reliance on social media as a testing ground, where every post, comment, and interaction becomes an experiment to see which version of themselves garners the most validation. Their life has become a performance, a constant recalibration driven by likes, comments, and approval. And yet, behind this carefully curated facade lies someone who has forgotten how to simply exist. Buried under the weight of all their masks and manipulations is a neglected, authentic self, crying out for connection, a connection they may not even know how to find anymore. Their emptiness fuels an insatiable hunger to latch onto your essence, as if by imitating your authenticity, they might somehow fill the void within themselves. But it's not just your outward traits they're trying to mirror, it's the depth of your self-awareness, the quiet confidence that comes from being rooted in your truth. They can copy your gestures, your words, even your habits, but what they crave most is the inner peace they sense in you, a peace they cannot replicate because it was earned through your own journey of growth and self-discovery. The toll this takes on you is undeniable. The fatigue, the emotional fog, the inexplicable sense of depletion after every interaction, these weren't coincidences. They were the effects of their constant energy siphoning, a subtle yet profound drain on your spirit, leaving you feeling diminished while they walked away temporarily bolstered by the pieces of you they tried to claim as their own. You may have blamed yourself, thinking you were simply too sensitive or overly emotional, but the reality is far more intentional than you imagined. This person has perfected the subtle art of taking without giving, of turning your compassion and generosity into tools for their own gain. They've skillfully shifted their struggles onto your shoulders, making you feel responsible for fixing their problems, soothing their emotions, and fueling their ambitions. Yet, when the roles were reversed, when you needed comfort, guidance, or even the smallest gesture of reciprocity, they vanished, conveniently consumed by their own manufactured crises. Their pattern is clear. They thrive on your energy and support, but offer nothing in return, leaving you drained, unappreciated, and questioning your own worth. The most damaging aspect of this dynamic is how they manipulated you into second-guessing your own reality. When you felt the weight of their energy-draining presence, they dismissed your intuition, labeling you as overly sensitive or dramatic. When you began to recognize the imbalance in your connection, they skillfully shifted the focus to themselves, either with a fabricated crisis or a self-congratulatory tale of success, to divert your attention. Even your attempts to address the cracks in the relationship were met with denial, leaving you questioning whether the problems were real or imagined. But now, as you step back and see the pattern for what it truly is, you can feel the difference. Without their influence, your energy is no longer siphoned away. Your thoughts are clearer, your creativity flows effortlessly, and the spark of joy and optimism you thought you'd lost begins to glow again. This stark contrast is not just a coincidence, it's a testament to the freedom and vitality you regain when you stop pouring yourself into someone who was quietly working against your well-being all along. The draining dynamic they create functions like an intricate web, pulling on every thread of your compassion and attention. Outwardly, they present themselves as constantly in need, whether it's through endless crises that demand your immediate intervention, problems that seem tailor-made for your advice, or carefully displayed vulnerabilities designed to evoke your empathy. But beneath this surface of perpetual neediness lies a deeper, more insidious mechanism. They're not just seeking your help, they're feeding off the emotional balance you've worked hard to cultivate, using your stability to steady their own inner turmoil. Each time they offload their chaos onto you, they walk away feeling lighter, while you're left carrying the weight of emotions that were never yours to bear. Slowly, they've learned to regulate themselves by destabilizing you, leaving you drained while they feel just a little more whole. Your steady presence has become their anchor in the storm of their own chaos. Your calmness eases their restless mind, your self-assurance hides the cracks in their fragile confidence, and your clarity serves as a guiding light where they would otherwise stumble in confusion. Without realizing it, they've come to depend on you as a substitute for the inner stability they lack, using your emotional strength as a crutch to balance their own instability. You've unwittingly become their emotional compass, their source of regulation, while they've given little thought to how this constant reliance has drained your own reserves. In their world, your energy has become the glue holding their fractured sense of self together. At their core, they've been drawing from the very essence of who you are, your passion, your creativity, your inner light. Your zest for life, the spark of inspiration that drives you, your deep connection to your own spirit, and the joy that comes so naturally to you have all been quietly siphoned away to sustain a life that feels hollow without you. They've taken and taken, leaving you feeling depleted, as if the vibrant colors of your world have faded to gray. Without realizing it, you've been pouring your vitality into a bottomless well, giving them everything they need to feel alive while leaving yourself running on empty. It's time to reclaim what was always yours and let your energy flow back into your own life where it belongs. While they've been consumed with mimicking your energy and vying for attention, you've been quietly laying the foundation for a life of true substance and purpose. Your financial stability has been growing stronger, your career or business is thriving, and you've been navigating the challenges of life with grace, determination, and ever-increasing confidence. Every step forward you take is a testament to your hard work and resilience, and it hasn't gone unnoticed. Their envy, fueled by their inability to replicate your genuine progress, is bubbling beneath the surface, manifesting as resentment and a desperate need to undermine what they can't achieve themselves. But their desperation only highlights the strength of what you've built, a life that is solid, meaningful, and entirely your own. The growing gap between your upward momentum and their stationary or downward spiral is becoming undeniable. While you've dedicated yourself to personal growth, expanding your knowledge, and securing a brighter future, their energy has been squandered on superficial pursuits, crafting facades, manipulating perceptions, and clinging to appearances. Where you've nurtured meaningful relationships built on trust and authenticity, they've sown discord, eroded trust, and isolated themselves through their relentless need for control and validation. Your independence, a testament to your strength and self-reliance, has become a mirror reflecting their own shortcomings, leaving them both threatened and exposed by the contrast between your genuine progress and their hollow efforts. Your achievements, accomplished entirely on your own terms, dismantle the illusion they worked so hard to create, that you were reliant on them for your success. The fact that you've not only survived but thrived without their involvement shatters their carefully crafted narrative of being the indispensable force in your life. Every step forward you've taken, despite their subtle or not so subtle attempts to hinder you, reveals the truth. They were never a source of strength, but rather a weight you had to shed to reach your full potential. The growing financial gap between you only deepens their frustration, as it symbolizes something far greater than wealth. It represents your freedom, your independence, and the limitless possibilities that now lie before you, untouched by their influence. Your growing financial independence has unlocked a freedom they can only envy. You now have the power to choose relationships that genuinely uplift and inspire you, free from the constraints of dependence or insecurity. Opportunities are no longer weighed by desperation, but by their alignment with your values and long-term vision. You've cultivated the strength to uphold your standards and enforce your boundaries, knowing you have the means to walk away from anything that doesn't serve your growth or well-being. In contrast, their financial instability traps them in a cycle of seeking external validation and relying on others for support, leaving them feeling powerless and frustrated as they watch you thrive with the autonomy they lack. Their reliance on others to fill the gaps they cannot bridge on their own, whether it's emotional support, financial aid, social standing, or career advancements, has bred a deep resentment toward your self-sufficiency. Your independence serves as a constant reminder of what they lack, driving them to escalate their efforts to diminish your accomplishments and regain a sense of control. Their behavior follows a familiar and calculated pattern, one designed to manipulate, destabilize, and assert dominance. But once you recognize the strategies in their playbook, be it guilt-tripping, gaslighting, or seeking to sow doubt, you gain the clarity and strength needed to shield yourself from their influence. By understanding their tactics, you not only disarm their attempts, but also ensure they can no longer disrupt the progress you've worked so hard to achieve. Their go-to method is to cast themselves as the perpetual victim, flipping the narrative whenever you assert your boundaries or call out their destructive behavior. They've mastered the subtle manipulation of making you question your own values, convincing you that having standards is harsh, expecting fairness is unreasonable, and prioritizing your well-being is selfish. This strategy is especially effective on those with kind hearts, those who instinctively seek to support others and avoid causing harm. But when playing the victim fails to achieve their desired control, they quickly shift to punitive measures. They withhold affection, retreat into silence, or manufacture chaos to draw you into their orbit, compelling you to chase their approval and reaffirm your loyalty. It's a cycle designed to exhaust you emotionally, but recognizing these patterns gives you the power to step off their manipulative merry-go-round. Their tactics become most insidious when they deliberately withdraw support during your moments of need, align themselves with people they know you'd rather avoid, or make unilateral decisions that affect you without your input. Their most calculated move, however, is triangulation, pulling others into your private conflicts to create the illusion of consensus against you. By sharing skewed and selective accounts of your disagreements with mutual connections, they position themselves as the rational wrong party while casting you as unreasonable or difficult. This approach exploits your innate desire to feel understood and valued within your community, turning your own empathy against you. But the turning point comes with the realization that these manipulations only hold power over those who lack firm boundaries and who engage in the games they orchestrate. Their past successes relied on targeting empathetic individuals who naturally extend grace and understanding. Now, your growth and heightened awareness have rendered you impervious to these strategies. Their desperation and increasingly transparent tactics reveal just how much their control is slipping as you step fully into your strength. Another frequent escalation tactic is their ability to craft a narrative that recruits others to their side, carefully curating details about your relationship to paint themselves as the victim. They selectively share your conflicts, conveniently leaving out the context that would reveal their own role, while portraying themselves as patient, long-suffering, and unfairly burdened by your supposed demands or instability. Their most devious move, however, is turning your own values and principles into tools of manipulation. If you've spoken about the importance of compassion, they'll twist it to guilt you into tolerating their harmful actions. If you've emphasized the value of second chances, they'll exploit it to repeatedly bypass your boundaries and stay in your life despite their destructive behavior. By weaponizing your integrity against you, they aim to keep you trapped in a cycle of self-doubt and compliance, but recognizing this pattern allows you to reclaim control and reinforce your boundaries with confidence. If you've expressed a dedication to personal growth, they'll disguise their criticism as constructive feedback, claiming they're simply helping you on your journey to become a better version of yourself. Beneath this facade, however, lies a calculated attempt to erode your confidence and keep you reliant on their approval. They also excel at manufacturing urgency, making every minor issue in their life feel like a full-blown crisis that demands your immediate intervention. They'll disrupt your workday with emotional emergencies, intrude on your personal time with pressing requests, and create scenarios where you feel compelled to drop everything to address their needs. This relentless pressure to prioritize their problems over your own plans is designed to keep you off balance and emotionally drained, leaving little room for you to focus on your own well-being. Recognizing this pattern is the first step toward reclaiming your time and energy. Financial manipulation often takes the form of carefully orchestrated crises that conveniently require your intervention. They may suddenly face unexpected expenses, claim opportunities that demand financial backing they can't provide, or invent emergencies that call for urgent assistance. If you hesitate, they'll skillfully make you feel guilty, painting your reluctance as selfishness or a lack of compassion. Over time, a pattern emerges. These so-called emergencies always seem to align with moments when you're thriving or celebrating personal success. It's as though your progress becomes a trigger for their manufactured instability, subtly pulling you back into a cycle where your resources are redirected to meet their endless needs. Recognizing this dynamic empowers you to draw firmer boundaries and protect both your financial and emotional energy. The moment you truly step away from this draining dynamic, a powerful sense of clarity and peace begins to take hold. The emotional fog that once clouded your thoughts, made up of confusion, guilt, and endless second-guessing, lifts, leaving behind a calm you may not have realized was possible. You come to understand how much of your mental and emotional energy was tied up in carrying the burden of someone else's instability and unresolved inner turmoil. The shift is not just emotional, but physical as well. Your body begins to heal, you breathe more deeply, your muscles relax, and the weight you didn't even realize you were carrying falls away. Sleep becomes restorative instead of restless, and your energy returns, no longer drained by the constant task of managing both their chaos and your own. You finally feel what it's like to be free, fully present in your own life, and grounded in your own strength. As you step out of the shadows of that draining relationship, your genuine self begins to shine again. The spark of enthusiasm and joy that had been buried under constant tension and conflict starts to burn brightly once more. You no longer feel the need to tiptoe around someone else's moods or brace yourself for the next wave of chaos. Instead, you rediscover the parts of yourself that had been overshadowed, the confidence, laughter, and natural charisma that once defined you. Slowly but surely, you feel lighter, freer, and more aligned with who you truly are. Others take notice too, commenting on the newfound glow in your demeanor and the ease in your presence. It's a powerful reminder that reclaiming your energy and boundaries doesn't just transform your inner world. It radiates outward, inviting positivity and connection back into your life. With the weight of constant tension lifted, you find yourself reconnecting with the vibrant, unburdened version of you that had been overshadowed for so long. Your days are no longer filled with dread or the need to anticipate the next emotional storm. Instead, they're filled with a renewed sense of hope and possibility. You rediscover the passions and interests that once brought you joy, and the confidence and self-assuredness that had been buried under the strain begin to surface. The spark in your eyes returns, and with it, a warmth and energy that draw others to you. Friends and loved ones can't help but notice the transformation, often remarking on how at ease and truly yourself you seem. It's as if a light that had dimmed has been reignited, illuminating the path forward with clarity and optimism. When you free yourself from the grip of doubt and manipulation, your intuition blossoms into a powerful, guiding force. No longer second-guessing your instincts or questioning your reality, you begin to notice the subtle undercurrents in interactions and environments that were once obscured by confusion. You develop a deeper understanding of energy dynamics, effortlessly recognizing what feels authentic and what doesn't. This sharpened awareness becomes your compass, allowing you to approach relationships and decisions with newfound clarity and confidence. Trusting yourself again feels like reclaiming a lost superpower, one that empowers you to move through life with wisdom, grace, and an unshakable sense of self. As the fog of emotional exhaustion lifts, you find yourself reconnecting with the boundless well of creativity that had always been within you. The weight that once stifled your imagination and dulled your ambition is gone, replaced by a newfound sense of freedom and possibility. Ideas that once felt elusive now flow effortlessly, sparking inspiration and excitement for projects you had abandoned or put on hold. Tasks that once seemed overwhelming now feel energizing, as if the act of creation itself breathes life back into you. Along with this creative resurgence, your sense of playfulness and curiosity returns, inviting moments of joy and spontaneity into your daily life. It's as though the world has opened up again and you're finally free to explore it with the full force of your passion and imagination. With the burden of navigating another person's emotional turbulence lifted, you find yourself reconnecting with the simple joys of life that once felt out of reach. Everyday moments, like a conversation with a friend, a walk in the sunshine, or a quiet evening to yourself, become sources of genuine happiness. Your laughter comes more easily, and your natural charm begins to shine through without the shadow of constant stress. Social interactions no longer feel heavy or draining. Instead, they're filled with ease and warmth. With your energy now fully your own, you have the freedom to nurture relationships and pursue opportunities that align with your true desires, fueling your growth and bringing a renewed sense of purpose to your days. With the emotional chaos no longer consuming your time and energy, you're able to fully focus on the aspirations and dreams that once felt out of reach. The mental clarity that comes from no longer untangling manipulation or decoding conflicting signals allows you to channel your thoughts into creative endeavors and purposeful relationships. Each step forward feels intentional, fueled by the lessons you've learned and the higher standards you now hold for the people you allow into your life. This newfound freedom empowers you to build a future rooted in authenticity, passion, and a deep commitment to your own growth and fulfillment. You've gained a deep clarity about the kind of energy you want in your life, and with it comes the ability to discern between those who uplift you and those who drain you. The subtle red flags that you once overlooked now stand out clearly, and you no longer second-guess your intuition when something feels misaligned. This newfound awareness gives you the confidence to set boundaries and walk away from situations or relationships that don't serve your well-being. You've cultivated a stronger sense of trust in yourself, empowering you to surround yourself with people who genuinely support and inspire you, creating space for meaningful connections to flourish. The connections you're forming now are rooted in genuine respect, emotional intelligence, and mutual growth. These individuals bring honesty and clarity to their communication, creating a sense of trust that feels refreshing and effortless. Instead of viewing your success as a threat, they celebrate it, offering encouragement and support that uplifts you both. Drama and confusion are replaced by stability and understanding, allowing these relationships to flourish naturally. With each new bond, you're reminded of the beauty of healthy, balanced connections, ones that nurture your spirit, align with your values, and inspire you to continue growing into the best version of yourself. Your romantic life is entering a phase of renewal, free from the weight of emotional confusion and the draining dynamics of the past. With the space to fully embrace your authentic self, you're naturally attracting partners who see and value you for who you truly are. These connections are built on mutual respect, admiration, and genuine appreciation, creating a foundation of trust and harmony. As you step into this new chapter, you'll find yourself drawn to relationships that inspire growth, joy, and a deep sense of connection, reminding you of the beauty and fulfillment that love can bring when it's grounded in authenticity.